old Tom Brady. Living in the world around niggas so shady. Can't even trust my own old lady. Cause she done fucked around and almost had some nigga baby. If you ask me how I feel lately, I've been in and out of therapy. I guess I feel crazy. Put my guard up, can't let the world fade me. I put my guard down, she did the 180. I got death on my mind, love fester. With time a lot of niggas got game, I finessed her with mine. She said she wanna have kids, so I blessed her with mine. She left me, I'm crying, I guess she was lying. I work a lot to keep myself busy, cause I idle mind is a double swing set. Had me thinking about ending my life by the end of the night, but I haven't lived my dreams yet. Yeah, I met a new bad bristle, but it's hard to commit, cause I just spent 13 years with a chick that never appreciated me. Even when she was sick, I never thought about leaving her, but she left me and shit. Damn, got me second guessing who I am, and the new chick I'm finessing, trying her best to hold me down. It's depressing, got me stressing. All I wanted was a fam, cause I never had a daddy like the kids I hung around. Just trying to be different, don't wanna be a statistic. I even begged her to stay with me, but she'd rather me visit. My kids don't understand why their daddy is missing. Shit, I don't even understand it, but it is what it is. And I bet they miss us in the kitchen as you're catching us kissing. My daughter relationship goes when down the drain with the dishes, and my son don't see his father on a daily basis. When I see their pictures, I still see their baby faces. When I want a new life, but I'm taking baby paces. Cause I want my shit tight like my teeth with baby braces. I always knew my deepest passion would take me places, and the hard times I endured, that's what gave me patience. I won't take new love for granted, God just grant me graces. Someone told me that if I'm in pain that you would trade me places. Trying to test the theory, forgive me Lord if I'm too loquacious, but situations that I have to face left me in devastation. That's why I'm throw like I'm old Tom Brady. Living in the world around niggas so shady. Can't even trust my own old lady. Cause she done fucked around and almost had some nigga baby. If you ask me how I feel lately, I've been in and out of therapy. I guess I feel crazy. Put my guard up, can't let the world fade me. I put my guard down, she did the 180.
Just one more pill I got to pop, and I need two. Cause it's gonna take a little more than usual to get me through. All I had in life was you. I should just end it all if I can't spend my life with you. Just one more pill I got to pop, and I need two. Cause it's gonna take a little more than usual to get me through. All I had in life was you. I should just end it all if I can't spend my life with you.
Yeah, dog, I'm hurt, emotions alert. I tried to avert my eyes from the dirt, but my pain is overt. She claims she at work, blind eyes can't ascertain dirty work, but the stain on the shirt said the kids don't know what we is no more. But they see that mommy and daddy don't kiss no more. It's almost like I don't even exist no more. Hard shit that I gotta deal with, bro. People like, bro, you better than me. I would've snapped like a motherfucking twig on the tree. I wrote a rap cause if I let the devil get into me, I'm going back to the old nigga I used to be. Get the strap, but I'm better. I ain't got no vendettas. Karma will get her. If she don't give, we'll eat her the feathers because she foul. I ain't never doubted forever when we was together. I used to brag on her fidelity. Will never be now.
All right, having technical difficulties. Want to make sure I'm back on here. All right. See, I'm not even gonna mess with that. See, I messed with that last time and I cut the whole thing off. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Whatever. I'm gonna let it talk to itself. I just told y'all, ain't nobody messing with my brother Blue. Dude is talented on a whole different level. Let me get back into this. So I was just talking, and for those of you who got cut off, then I tried to reshare everything. I pushed the wrong button and it cut my whole stream off. Downside of StreamYard, it's easy to kick yourself out. Like I said, I'm going to be talking for a few minutes. Let me recap this real quick. Jump on. Make sure you understand this is adult language, adult content. Make sure you got some earbuds so you can hear and that the noise don't echo. Come with a free mind, ready to relax and to debate and to confront your ideas and your own prejudices and the ideas of others too. And we're going to have a good time. If you don't want to get on live, feel free to just participate in the chat. You can get on through YouTube or through Facebook. If anybody needs a link, I'll try to find a link, but otherwise it's probably easier to go to Facebook. But since I got like 2 links now, Facebook, since I deleted the other one, it's still there. Whatever, just get on. If you're trying to get on, then I'll show you how to get on. I'm trying to make this quick as possible because what I want to do, I want to do pick a post. I saw a couple posts on throughout the week that grabbed my attention to some degree, and we'll discuss that. And then what I want to do for the other half, we are coming up, guys. We're coming up on 7 years. Golly, that's crazy. That's really 2000. Yes, we're coming up on 7 years of Freethinkers that's been established as a group. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to do a little bit of reflection, and we'll probably do it again because I know Nikki gonna want to get in on that too. But I just want to do a little bit of reflection and evaluation, as well as things that we're looking for moving forward. I got a lot of ideas, even that goes back for a year and a half, that I am going to execute this year. Freethinkers, so one thing Smack taught me in anything that you're doing, especially when it comes to podcasts, when it comes to media, you got to expand. You got to go bigger. You can't give people the same thing that they're used to. Every time you come back, whenever you hit some type of milestone, you always want to add something to the table. So we're just going to get better and better and present more, come at you with different angles. And I'm going to discuss some of those things that I want to do, that I'm going to do, that we're going to do. And you're all going to participate in that. So feel free, and you know, whoever's watching, shoot me a comment. Let me know you're watching. Let me know where you're watching in from. If you have any questions or input or feedback, we always check the comments. We respond to it. We have conversation with people who conversate through text message. So we are interactive that type of way. Now let me get to this. I'm not a big social media person. I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media. So when I get on the Freethinkers page or even Facebook, I have to go back days and days and see the things that I haven't seen before. So as I got on the page to see what people have been talking about, I copied a couple of posts and a couple of videos. So we'll go through that. And let me know, because I know last week StreamYard was tripping. There were several people who were trying to get on and had issues getting on. So if you're trying to get on, if you have an issue getting on with StreamYard, let me know. I need to, and it's hard right now because I'm already on live. I can't figure out. I need to find where the link is. Nikki, if you happen to be watching, if you can find the link and repost it just so people can grab it, because I know there's a good chance that the link is not available. Oh well. So, but comment and let me know, and I'll take some extra time to try to figure it out. But let me get into some of the things that grabbed my attention and I thought was fairly interesting. Do I want any music? Do I want any music? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I will, and sometimes I won't. Y'all gotta bear with me, because when it's just me, then it's just gonna be some dead noise sometimes. Now, okay, we'll see. One of the things, what's the first thing that grabbed my attention? Oh, okay. This is interesting. Okay, guys, so watch this. This was a clip. I think maybe Demetrius posted this, and let me know what you think about this. Here we go.
Need to ask 1,000 questions during the dating process. You don't need to be sitting up there talking about, well, I go to church and I talk in tongues, and a big plus is I'm a member of World Change. Oh, praise the Lord, I done found my husband. You might have found the devil. Now, hold up a minute, girl. You need to ask some questions. Y'all need to sit down and go on a whole lot of dates. What's your name? Is that your real name? Do you have your daddy's name? When can I meet your daddy? Is your dad and mama together? How do you act when you get mad? Do you throw things? Do you cuss around? Do you beat up on people? I need to know, do you have a job? Where do you work at? How much money do you make? How long you been working there? Do you have a bank account? How is your credit? Can I see your credit score? Do you have a house or you live in an apartment? Do you pay for your gas in your car? Do you live with your mama and them? I need to understand what you're doing, what you like to eat. Do you plan on being fine like that all your life, or you plan on getting big? How many children do you want to have? Will you get upset if we don't have no kids? You plan on having an inheritance? Have insurance. Can you pay for your funeral if you were to die today?
Okay. So, for those of you who do not know, that is Creflo Dollar. He's a very well-known preacher in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and he's also has been labeled, I would say incorrectly, as the money preacher. Probably a lot of it has to do with his last name being Dollar. That's so crazy. But he does talk a lot about money and prosperity. There was a issue several years ago because he was trying to raise money to get a private jet. So also he had an issue. I think he got arrested for getting into a physical altercation with one of his children. So every now and then Creflo has some stuff that come up about him, and people have opinions about him, and he's a money preacher, and I have mixed feelings about Creflo. There's a lot of things that I like about Creflo, and then there's other things that I question. But pertaining to this clip right here, I will say this clip is correct, Demetrius, in context. And the context that I mean is, first of all, I like what he said, and I've been saying this for a long time. Just because someone, you in church and they in church, and you single and they single, and y'all like each other, that don't mean that you a match. It don't mean you a match. And especially when you searching for a prototype. Just because somebody say they in church, just because they go to church, they can still be a devil. In addition to that, this is what I've said several times as well. Be careful of people who overly talk about church. Like, especially men. I would say men even more so than women. If a man is coming on to you and the first thing he tries to lead in everything he talks about has to do something with church or spirituality or God, he's super God all the time. Be careful with those people. Oftentimes they use that language because they know that's what you want to hear. And they know that you're looking for those of you who are Christians and those of you who are in the church. And I know a lot of people who you finding someone who's in church is your number one priority. I've heard many people say that. Well, what are you looking for in a man? Well, he got to be saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. And they go down a lot. The first thing is church and God. It's not a bad thing. It sounds so bad for me to say this. Be careful of that being the first thing. In my experience, people who look for that first tend to overlook other obvious signs. So just because they in church and they attend every Sunday, you be careful about that stuff. Okay. I got a good example, good analogy. Look at it like this. I just thought about, would you go to a hospital to look for your perfect partner? You know, people, when you go to where's the best place to find a partner? You know, people say church. Some people say go to the club. Some people say, at hangout groups, meet up. How many people say, if you want to find a good man, you want to find a good woman, go to the emergency room. Go to the emergency room. If you want to find the right person for you, go to the hospital and go to the emergency room and find the right person. You know why people never say that? I've never heard a person say, hey, you want to find a good person and go to the hospital and sit in the emergency room and there's plenty of people to find there. You know, one of the reasons, probably the main reason nobody ever says that is because when you go to the hospital, you're dealing with people who are at the hospital outside of those who work there are there because they have some type of sickness, ailment, illness, or their family does. But there's some type of issue going on that needs to be addressed, that needs to be fixed, and they need help. So the average person is not going to go to the hospital emergency room looking for a partner, because one of the questions is going to be, okay, you here, what's wrong with you? Right? You're here in the hospital, you waiting to be checked in. Yeah, you cute, you seem like a nice person, we had a good conversation, but what's wrong with you? If you meet somebody in the emergency room and they're checking in, you're going to ask the question, is this something I need to be worried about? What's the issue? The reason I say this is because the church is also a hospital for sick people. You there, you got issues, people who are also there. They have sickness, they have ailments, they have issues, they have shortcomings. They're there because they need healing. They need to be fixed. They need wholeness. They need that because there's brokenness. It helps you to at least ask the question, it's good to see you here. Why are you here? What's going on? So all I'm saying is, if you would ask the question in a hospital, if you met somebody, you should also ask some questions if you meet someone in church. That's all I'm going to say. So he's right. He's spot on when he talks about, hey, just because they're in church, that don't mean anything. Now, let me get past that part. He went down the line and he seemed like he was being a little joking, but he was throwing out a lot of different things when he said, hey, you need to ask questions. I agree with him 100%. But let me say this, especially to women. You do need to ask a lot of questions. But do not ask all of those questions on a first date. If you want to run away a man as quickly as possible, you want to run away a good, sensible man, ask all of those questions on the first date. Because then it looks like you have a checklist and you're checking off boxes and you're looking for the prototype of the type of man you want. If they fit the boxes, then okay, I'll fit you into my box and we'll see where it goes from there. And no individual wants to just be a checklist that meets criteria for a person. You can find that with anyone. Get to know the individual over the course of time. Yes, you want to ask all of those questions over the course of time, over the course of dating. You want to ask many of those questions while you're dating, a lot of surface questions, a lot of projecting questions as far as how people think and they feel and they view things once they are in a relationship. Well, one of the things you do want to ask the person is, are you looking to get married? If kids are important to you, do you want to have kids? So those are some base questions. And also ask a very important thing, ask questions and get a feel for their relationship with their immediate circle, their parents, their siblings, their children, aunts, uncles, so forth. And how long have their best friend been friends? Because you want to know, does this person know how to navigate through real relationships? If if their longest friendship that they have with their friends is less than 5 years, and they're in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and their best friends, or the longest friendships that they have is no longer than 5, that's a red flag. What is about this person that they can't keep relationships? I'm not going to keep on going on with this, but you do want to ask questions. It's very important. Did I say everything about that? Oh, one other observation. Be careful of people who don't have a lot of questions for you. Just like you have certain questions, that other person should have questions for you as well. They should look forward. They should inquire about meeting your brother, meeting your parents, meeting your best friends, interacting with the people that you hang out, finding out about how you interact with your circle. If the person that you're with, they never seem to have questions about your past, your upbringing, your future goals, that's a red flag also. Why would somebody be interested in you and not be interested in equipping themselves to know if you guys have the potential to make a relationship work? Because all of those things mean something. I learned my lesson in my early 20s. I was in a relationship that lasted several years, and we went through it. It was a hellish, dysfunctional, abusive relationship. And by the time we looked to get relationship counseling / marriage counseling, even though I wasn't trying to get married, she was trying to push me to get married. I'm like, we ain't nowhere close to that. But we went through the process of the counseling, and they had us do a whole, this long, like 45 minutes to an hour evaluation, checklist, asked about your parents, your history, how you grew up, where you come from, your values, the things that you believe in, the things, how you raise your it just asked you everything. And by the time we finished that, we had to fill it out separately, and they sent it off and they brought it back. We learned that we were so far apart in every single way, from the way we were brought up to the way we viewed life, the way we viewed family, children. Everything was complete opposite. And it was just so clear, like, no wonder we don't get along at all. But I was young, and so I should have, had I been equipped to make sure that I asked the right questions and understand what the answer to those questions means in a relationship in relation to how I operate and view things, I probably wouldn't have stayed in it as long as I did. No shade on that person. We're still good friends to this day. We just made horrible partners in a relationship. Now, did I get all of that out? Is there anything else I want to say about that? No, I think that was it. So, yes, ask questions. And the person that you're with, make sure that they're asking questions as well. Let's see. We got another. Do we have another? Hold on. This clip was, I ain't gonna even explain it. Just watch. Here's another clip. I don't know who sent this clip on Freethinkers, but it grabbed my attention. Let's look at it.
Actually buy Prince's happiness.
If you're a poor woman, just don't even bother.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. Don't approach me. Get out of here.
If you're a woman and you are poor, how do you expect to pay 100% for the date?
That's exactly right. That's why we don't fuck with poor women, because they're not going to be able.
You never want to date a poor woman. What value is she bringing to your life? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is she gonna emotionally support you with no money? No.
She does need to do that too, though.
She does, but most of my emotions can be supported through monetary values.
Yeah.
Like, if you buy me a nice watch, I'll be happy. And if you don't, I'll be angry and try to punch you. So money does actually buy Prince's happiness.
I don't know who sent that. I don't remember who sent that post, but for those of you who, you know, are not catching what they're doing, obviously that video, it was designed for you to be like, huh? What? How dare you say that? If that was your response to the video, like, man, come on. I'm gonna play it one more time. I'm gonna play this one more time, okay? Let's watch it one more time.
Actually buy Prince's happiness.
If you're a poor woman, just don't even bother.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. Don't approach me. Get out of here.
If you're a woman and you are poor, how do you expect to pay 100% for the date?
That's exactly right. That's why we don't fuck with poor women, because they're not going to be able.
You never want to date a poor woman. What value is she bringing to your life? I don't know.
I don't know.
So, you know, emotionally support you with no money? No.
She does need to do that too, though.
She does, but most of my emotions can be supported through monetary values.
Yeah.
Like, if you buy me a nice watch, I'll be happy. And if you don't, I'll be angry and try to punch you. So money does actually buy Prince's happiness.
So, the conversation about poor women, right? Wrong. This clip was not about poor women at all. It was designed to allow a person to see. How did that sound to you to hear those men talking about you should never date a poor woman? And I'm actually getting to the theory of that in just a second. But how did that sound to hear a man talk about you should never date a poor woman? If you were taken back in any way by that, it was designed for that, because all it was doing is just showing you what it actually sounds like when the shoe is on the other foot. So when and you see this in social media all the time, and it's acceptable for women to say, hey, don't date a poor man. And also you get a lot of men, probably including myself, like, yeah, don't date no poor man. That's the way our society works. So then it's playing on the double standards to where if it's okay for a woman to speak that plainly and that harshly and single relationships down to financial security and comfort without mentioning relationship, love, connection. If it's not acceptable when you hear that, then why do we accept it when we hear women speak like that? That's what the video is for. This is what I will say. Big picture. I'm okay with double standards. I don't have an issue with double standards. It's a little weird for people to say that and kind of be so shallow with their speech. What a lot of times when you hear women talk like that, but there's a double standard where a man is expected to be a provider. A man is expected not to be poor. They're expected to, have things and be not just for themselves, but also have enough for the woman. So what makes, for me, my only issue, if a woman talks like that, let me back up. There's nothing new about this mindset for a woman up front before they date a man or go out with a man or willing to be exclusive with a man. There's nothing new about a woman expecting security, financial security from a man before they proceed to commit. That's not new. That's very old. That's been around before all of us have been born. The issue or the difference is in today's society, we want to hold on to that mindset. Not all of us, but many women want to hold on to that mindset. But at the same time, we want to reform men being mannish. I don't know how to say it. Like, so, okay, so for, like I said, that's an old school way of thinking. Now, when you see an old school man who believe in traditional roles in the household, then we're archaic and something is wrong with us. I don't get that. That doesn't make sense. You want it both ways, and that's where I have the issue. You still want to be taken care of, you want to have security, but you don't want him to be a man. You want him to be a new age, let's talk this through, think this out, man. And everybody not wired like that. And a lot of people who are those strong providers, yeah, they're still men. Traditional, in a traditional sense. And I know people talking about, why are you trying to define a man one way versus another? Because I'm old school. I'm new age, but I'm still old school. And I'm unlike some people, I do not okay. It looks like I'm still live. Okay, look like we're still live. I hate that. It's like my internet goes out the same time almost every night. Yep. About every night it goes out the same time. This is the downside of living out in the boonies. Now, what was I saying? I'm trying to restart my computer. It could be, I got an old computer too. So it could be a combination of things. Now, let me restart this. Let's see if we go. Okay, well, I'm restarting. So, I forgot what I was saying. I was saying something about old school men Oh, okay, yeah. Now on the flip side, when it comes to men, understand if you want to take that traditional role or that traditional mindset, that should only apply when you are being that old school traditional provider, um, like they had in a period of time when that was acceptable. You can't expect the same things to be acceptable. Like, oh yeah, this is how it was back in the day. Well, back in the day, the man worked and the woman was able to stay at home. She was able to be a homemaker. She was able to do the dishes and do all of the other chores and stuff like that because she didn't have to work 40 hours a week like you did. So you can't expect your lady to work the same amount of hours as you and still get home and have to cook the food and clean the house and wash the dishes and take care of the kids and do all of those things. That's not reasonable. So just remember, if you're one of those old school people who have that old school mindset, then you should also be taking care of that. Otherwise, there can be elements of it, but in my opinion, you should have shared responsibilities. So in my household, we both work. So if we both work, I also take care of a lot of those responsibilities. I'm gonna help take care of the kids. I'm going to help do the dishes. I'm gonna help clean the house. I'm gonna help do all of those things that's needed to do because we equally participate. So let me see. That's okay. So that's all I had to say about that video. But interesting. It was. It makes it. It brings it to light differently when you visually see and hear the other side making the same statements that you'd see that you normally and perpetually hear social media women say. I don't even want to say women say that. It's a difference between, um, you know, some of the stuff on social media. It's over the top, and I think it's agenda based. So I wouldn't even want to credit all or most or even half of women of having that same mindset. But you got those out there, and some of it is age related too. Let me see. Am I back in now? Let me put this down if I'm back in. I'm trying. Oh, no, this is the wrong one. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Okay. I'm trying to get back on through my computer because I do have a couple of other posts. I don't remember what they are. But I want to get through them real quick because I have some thoughts that I want to share about. We are going on 7 years with Freethinkers, and I have some thoughts about things that I want to do coming up. And it's like I'm full of ideas. I say that, full of ideas, and I'm gonna share some of those ideas with you because y'all gonna partake in it with me. I like this camera. Make my face look fairly slim in comparison to how it usually looks. So let me see. Am I back on now? Okay. Let me get out of this. Let me get out of this.
All right, I actually removed it. Just let me get back to
Before I go into this. Oh, you know what? I didn't even save them. I mean, I didn't even load them into I did all that and I forgot to load them in there. Let me look and see. I might. Do I want to load it right now? You know what? I did enough talking so far. I will just go to the other section. And you know what? Matter of fact, let me hurry up before this thing cut off again. I'm gonna go ahead and condense this. So I even saying and this sounds crazy to me. I can't believe Freethinkers. We've been going for 7 years now. Shout out to all of the people who helped make it happen. I'm really just saying that. I'm really shocked. I can't believe how fast time flies. It's been 7 years. So I'm just, I want to give a recap on, just let me get this down. I don't know where that's at. I don't even know how to put that up. Is that it? Where's that at? I don't know. It's different when you got to do stuff by yourself. You just got to figure it out on the cool. I don't even know where that, I don't know how that came up there. I clicked the button by mistake. Oh, well, it might just sit up there for the rest of the time. So let me tell you, for those who don't know, let me tell you about Freethinkers. 7 years ago, we formed Freethinkers. Now, actually, I had been a part of a group for about, wow, 6. Man, I don't even know. Maybe about 7 years prior to that, I've been part of a group called Meeting of the Minds. Started by one of my partners back in the day named Selah. Shout out to Selah. She started a group, Meeting of the Minds. This is in Austin, Texas. We met up, I think it was, at the time, it might have been Wednesdays or Thursdays. It was a different day. It wasn't Tuesdays, though. I remember that. So we initially, so this is the part I remember. I'm just giving you a recap from my story. I'm sure Nikki has a different story. But it starts back with Meeting of the Minds. And there was a restaurant on 11th Street, East 11th Street. The guy who owned Mr. Catfish also had a restaurant called Homer's. And different people would meet up. And we would just have these type of philosophical conversations. But it was always live and it was in person. I knew Selah several years before that. I did not know her personally, but we ran in the same circles because we were kind of in a similar music circle. Like I said, if you heard the beginning of this, my partner Blue, we did music together all over the city. And Selah also did music and poetry. So a lot of the venues and events that we would go to, we would often see her. She'd be performing at different venues as well. So didn't know her directly, but I knew her loosely. And by some way, I don't know how, maybe it could have been, was I even on Facebook back then? It may have been Facebook. So I just saw an invite to an event called Meeting of the Minds, where we just talk about different stuff. We just come together with intelligent, thinking, people, and we have conversations. And especially at that time, it really grabbed my attention because I was heavily into church. The church I'd been attending had been pretty much the church that I attended since I moved to Austin, Texas. So I had been at my church for probably about 11 years. And it was running its course. I had more questions than they had answers. Or I would say I had a different level of questions than they were prepared to answer. Or even wanting to answer. So I was just in a space of transition. And, I needed something else. Any of you who've been in church, church has its own culture. Just like any organization, whether it's Democrats, Republicans, Masons, AKAs, Qs, whatever you affiliated with, it has its own culture and its own, they just operate a certain way. But at that point in time, it just wasn't enough for me. And I had questions. So this was a place that I was just looking to get outside, to just go into different circles and find things that I wasn't getting just in that one circle. So I went there, I visited, and it was a breath of fresh air. But we just talked about life. We did talk about God. We talked about it from a spirituality standpoint, but we didn't just talk about the God of Christianity. We talked about all forms of spirituality, all forms of religion, forms of spirituality that don't include religion. We talked about, just things, just talked about everything. So it was great. So once I started coming, I kept coming, and it just fit for me. I would guess maybe probably about 5 or 6 months in. For those of you who don't know me, I'm very slow to participate with stuff. I'm usually the person that's going to sit back and watch. I don't just jump in right off the bat. But once I really got my feet wet, I was able to jump in, participate, and really, I just had a lot more input. Then Selah wanted me. She was like, "Hey, I like your input in the group, and I like just the way you operate within the group. And then I wanted to know if you would run the meetings, like co-facilitate the meetings with me." So I did not start Meeting of the Minds from day one. And in all honesty, I'm not actually sure how long Meeting of the Minds had been going on before I came there. But within a few months of me coming there, then we kind of started sharing responsibilities, and I started co-facilitating. And then over time, and then even over, maybe over a couple of years, I think Selah got more comfortable with me facilitating the group even than her. So she, and I would also say, because facilitating a group is, it's not even as it's more fun not to facilitate than facilitate oftentimes. Facilitation, it deals with keeping a lot of people involved, and it's just a lot of different stuff that you have to do. Whereas when you just participate, you can just jump right in and just be a part of the conversation without having to be aware of all the other stuff that's going on. So I think she probably preferred it. And anyone who's done facilitating for a long time, that there's a burnout level to where you just like, I just want to participate like everybody else. I'm kind of tired of this. So we ran it on 11th Street for a while. Then we went to it was some type of property on 12th Street. I can't remember what it was. It might have been an art studio, or it could have been somewhere. Some crazy stuff was happening over there. Then we went to Thunderbird Coffee. That was, I believe it was on the east side also. It might have been MLK. It was either MLK or 15th Street. But it was a nice cafe, and it was, we had some good times, some really good conversations. Eventually we end up going to, I think after that, we went to Genuine Joe's, the cafe that we were at for a while. Because they had a nice cellar, and it was the group was growing, so it grew so much we really needed our own separate space, because we were like taking over the whole coffee shop. And then it was harder to have conversations sometimes when it's in open space with other people. But what I will say also, that also helped grow the group as well, because when people get to see you, get to hear the conversations, maybe they're just sitting to the side on their laptops or doing some homework or writing or doing whatever, and they were able just to hear some of the conversations that we were having. Then a lot of people joined and participated just from being a bystander, so that did help as well. But ultimately we went to Genuine Joe's. They had a nice separated space. We had some good conversations there. All good things come to an end. I don't want to get too far into the messy part of it, but ultimately Selah and I had different views on certain things. And it just like when I was in church and I was in a period of transition, I think maybe also I was in a period of transition as well when it came to that, just how we operated, I was starting to transition into Freethinkers without even knowing it. As free as we want it to be, and we wanted to have open dialogue, open conversation. Selah still had a heavy religious persuasion. And what I mean by that is the group was designed for people to be open and kind of share from all walks of life. But at the end of the day, Selah had a strong Christian background, and anytime Christianity was challenged, that was a trigger for her oftentimes. And in those situations, sometimes it would take away from the authenticity of the conversation. Whereas to me, I definitely have a Christian background, but I was of the mindset that God doesn't need me to defend him if someone has opposing thoughts. And, we had, a lot of agnostic, atheists, all walks, so there could be some ripples. And I'm kind of working through this because this is actually the first time that I've actually talked about this part live on air, about why things actually went. And I'm not going to go deep into it. I'll just say we just didn't. We were starting to have fundamental differences on how the group should be ran. And ultimately, in several cases, when people express themselves in a way that she wasn't cool with, or ways that she felt disrespected her religion or her, her spiritual process, then her resolve was just to eliminate them or tell them they can't be a part of the group anymore. And me at this point in time, we still co-ran it, but I was doing most of the moderating of, the shows and the groups. And to find out, which I didn't even know I didn't even know right up front, that she had been telling people they're not welcome to come back. So, when I did find out that she had been doing that, you see certain people and, you have certain conversations, and it would oftentimes get spicy, but then you see some people just not come back anymore. And it would happen sometimes. Some people get triggered, some people get in their feelings and they don't come back. It happens. It just happens. But, if you have enough conversation with people and you get to know them well enough, you start to, who has a thick enough skin to where we can go there in the conversation, and at the end of the day, we'll hug it out and we'll be all right. So, I'd see certain people who, tough conversation, they didn't come back. And then after a week, somebody be in their feelings, like, all right, well, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like, all right, I know you're not that upset to where you're just not coming back to the group anymore. But then there were some occasions where certain people were uninvited, but it was more because of direct personal relationships that she had with them. She was like, no, I don't want them to come back no more. Maybe somebody just more of a direct, I'll leave them alone. Hey, if you don't want them to come back because they were coming specifically because of you, because y'all had, some type of personal connection. And I was like, I get it. I'm not going to get into that. But when it came to the point of people having opposing views and you telling them that they can't come anymore, I had a major problem with that. I had a major problem with that. And eventually it all came to a head, to a point where it's like, I can't. And what really triggered me to say, okay, this is unacceptable, is one of the people, when I found out that they were uninvited to come, they, told they can't come anymore. And I was like, oh man, that's crazy. And then they said I was they told me I was under the impression that you knew about it and that you signed off on it. Because like I said, at that point in time, I was like the main person doing the moderating. So they figured anything that she said, it was we said, and I was okay with it. And I was like, no, I was not okay with that at all. So her and I had a major, Selah and I had a major disagreement about that, ultimately to the point to where we just couldn't, we couldn't work together anymore. Even to the point that she was telling me that I couldn't be a part of the group no more. I'm like, you ain't telling me I can't be a part of it. I can do whatever. You ain't pulling that on me. That ain't about to happen. Ain't about to happen. Sorry. So, yeah, I'm like, but it was crazy because it let me see the same process that she had been doing with other people as well. Sweet person, somebody I still admire, does great work in Austin, and is somebody to be respected, even what she does in local TV and all across the, have no beef with her. We came to a head. And ultimately, one of the people affected by those conversations that I mentioned was Nikki. And I mentioned to Nikki, like, yo, I'm not cool with that. Like, I was already like in my Freethinkers mindset before we even became Freethinkers. So I was like, yeah, that's not cool. I'm not with it. And ultimately, after a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of having some major conflict with Selah, I called Nikki back. I was like, hey, what you think about us starting up our own group? And I remember her response was, I was waiting for you to say that. Like, like the whole time she was like, yeah, I saw we should have made that move a while ago. I was just basically, Nikki was just like, yeah, I was just waiting on you to see that. Yeah, we need to go ahead and make that transition. So once she said that, I was like, oh, okay. Well, all right, I guess we're gonna start our own group then. We split from Meeting of the Minds, and then we started Freethinkers. Now that, you know what, I'm not even gonna I can already tell, because I don't, the other stuff I'm gonna get into, I'm gonna tell you the backstory, and then the other stuff I'll save that for maybe next week when Nikki's on. So that was, y'all know, I done got way too comfortable being transparent on in front of people. Like, I really don't care. So, oh, that's what I remember. Okay, so once I decided to do that, then it was me, Nikki, my best friend Thomas, and another good friend who would attend the group as well, Greg. And we met up at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we decided how we were going to do the group. Nikki came up with the name Freethinkers. That was Nikki right there. She actually came up with the name Freethinkers. And when I heard it, I'm like, okay. I liked it instantly. I don't even think we did much debating or searching like for other names. I think like Freethinkers came out, and I was like, oh yeah, that's it. And we just ran with it from there. Now, I was still a certain type of person. Like I said, we were doing the meetings at Genuine Joe's, but Meeting of the Other Minds. So Nikki was like, okay, so we're going to do the meetings. I was like, we can do it at Genuine Joe's, man. Forget them. It was one of those things like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I run what I want to when I want to. And Nikki was like, no, we need to do our own thing, get our own space. We don't want to, we don't want to intentionally step on anybody's toes. So Nikki was of the mind of, let's take the high road. So we looked around, and then I think Smack was around at the time too, and I think he had a connection with the owners at Spinners. So first Freethinkers meeting was at Spinners. For those in Austin, Texas, people know who Spinners are. It's a bar, but the owner had another space right next to Spinners that wasn't being used, so we were allowed to actually operate over there. We did 1 or 2 meetings there. It was cool. We had our own space, but the club was right next door, so it was still you could the music was bleeding through the walls. It was still, you could still, it worked, but it still wasn't ideal, but it worked. So after and let me back up a little bit. So even when we split off, and I feel a responsibility to certain people, because you remember, there's a lot of this is almost like family. I'm not trying to force anyone to, I'm not trying to force anyone's allegiance, or I felt an obligation to tell people what's going on, because I form relationships with people, and I believe that you should do things the right way. I didn't throw any shade at Selah. I didn't say anything about what I thought she did or what her intentions were, if she was right or wrong. I just told straight facts. This is what happened, so we're going our separate ways. I didn't tell the whole extended group, but the regular people who would come, on a weekly basis, that I knew over a long period of time, and I got to know them over years. Like Jules and Denise, Armand, Greg, some other people. There was probably about 8 or 9 people. I sent it all in a thread on Messenger. Hey, this is what's going on. Selah and I, we have a disagreement. This is what happened, and this is why we're having a disagreement, and this is why we're going our separate ways. I still love her. I still encourage you all to keep attending Meeting of the Minds. I ain't trying to take nobody from nobody. Feel free. It's not pick one or the other. This is where we'll be at. This is where she'll be at. Feel free to go to one, to other. Come to both of them. It don't matter to me. This is not a competition thing. So I just wanted to make sure made it clear. You don't want other people speaking on your behalf. You always want to make sure you speak for yourself. Now, if somebody else says something different, that's fine, but at least they have the ability to hear your truth, and then they can make a decision for themselves. And I still, I got that text in my Facebook Messenger somewhere if I go deep enough into it. She didn't take it as well. But my truth was out there. So, and you know what, one of the reasons why I did that, take you back real quick. Back even way before that, 2006, I used to do event coordinating. I worked for this organization called Apartment Life. Apartment Life was it was a group, basically supposed to be a Christian group, but ultimately what they did was they would place people in apartment complexes. They would place couples. So my wife and I at the time was a part of Apartment Life, and we were designed to put on events and coordinate just to help bring the apartment community together, because ultimately it's supposed to, if you feel more like a community, it helps with retention. People know each other. They're more likely to re-sign, and that was, the thought process of that. So we worked that for a year. And we had great events, pool parties, we would give breakfast to people when they left out for work. We just had all types of different events, and our apartment complex really did turn into a community. And it was a beautiful thing. I really enjoyed that. But the leasing manager who we had to deal with he was an absolute asshole. There ain't even no way to get around that. He was an awful human being. He did everything in his power to sabotage this. Why he did it, I have no idea. I don't know if he had an issue with apartment life. I don't know if he was upset because people liked us more than they like it. Some people, it's just like you can't even figure out why. But he was lying on us. We had a certain amount of money that we were given to do the events. He was withholding the money so that we couldn't even properly get the events. So it was just like crazy stuff. Ultimately, we had to split ways with apartment life. And it was just kind of just like that. It was a quick thing. Within a couple of days, we were out of there. And all of those relationships that I got to know people at those apartments and, you know, getting to connect with them and their kids and just everything, we just up and we left, and we never had a chance to tell people what happened. We just disappeared because we had to, and they didn't give us the opportunity to tell people, hey, we are leaving. You know, so that whole situation, what hurt me is that you build relationships and you don't properly get to say goodbye. That left such a bad taste in my mouth. So fast forward back when this issue with Selah and I happened with Meeting of the Minds, I wasn't gonna just up and leave and people be like, oh, where's Q at? What happened? No, I'm gonna tell people what's going on. So I should finish this story in about 5 minutes, so bear with me. Oh yeah, coming right up on 9:30. It's all gonna work out all the same. So yeah, we were at Spinners for maybe a month. I don't know, maybe 3 weeks to a month. But what we did find out is that Meeting of the Minds at Genuine Joe's, they end up changing their schedule to a different day. So instead of the Tuesdays, was it? Yeah, it was Tuesday. Yeah, so instead of the Tuesdays that we meet, they switched it to a different day. So now Nikki and I were like, oh, okay, so if they not even here on the same day that we have, we can go back to Genuine Joe's now because there's no longer conflict because we're not sharing the same space at the same time. So we started going back there. I'm not even gonna get into all that other stuff, but it was just, you know, it was some pettiness that happened, and then, you know, she started trying to book out the time that we had it, and so then she tried to, whatever. I go into it. I don't care. It's old news by now. It was 7 years ago. Then she started trying to book out the same times that we had. She tried to put her meetings back on the same day that we had it. So there was a couple. Oh, no. That's what it was. She started doing two different things, I believe. Because I think one of them was a Meeting of the Mind, and then she had like a Poets Guild. She did something else that dealt with people, just a group coming together reciting poetry. And I think she brought that back on Tuesdays. Why she did it, I'm not going to speculate. But anyway, it caused friction, and there'll be people coming in like, oh, is this a Meeting of the Minds? I'm like, oh, no, this ain't Meeting of the Minds. I think they're in the other room over there. Feel free to go. So, you know, there were two separate rooms, and there were two meetings going on with a lot of people who, you know, actually used to know each other and talk with each other. And it was a little shaky for a while. But I guess, I don't know, after all of the emotions died down. So like, I'm not a person, I don't even hold grudges like that. I was never even mad about the situation. But I'm my own man, and I'm gonna make, you know, you're not gonna make a decision for me at the end of the day. So I think I'm gonna stop right there because I'm right at 9:30. When Nikki comes back next week, I wanted to get into just kind of some reflection, because you know, that's the 7-year month. Like, what are some of your fond memories of the Freethinkers? Because let me tell you, when COVID forced us to come online, and I'm glad it did. We've expanded our community pretty good, but those meetings that we would have in that cellar, and what you will often hear people talk about, the parking lot conversations afterwards. That was some epic stuff. I mean, those were some memorable. If you ask me, like, what stands out most to me about our 7 years of Freethinkers, the conversations at Genuine Joe's, as well as those parking lot conversations once we let out, because even back then I was a stickler for, hey, 90 minutes. When the time is up, then we out of, then we're gonna close out, and then let everybody go home. Now if you decide to stay after we leave out, then that's up to you, but we're not holding you longer than we said we were gonna have the meeting. So those parking lot conversations well after the coffee shop closed, and oh man, part of the reason why I have a really tight connection with some of the people in the group, like Nikki, like Denise, like Jewel, it came from those parking lot conversations. That's stuff that you don't get it. You don't get that everywhere, and you don't get it that often. But I think next week I want to, I'm gonna get Nikki's take on a couple things with the Freethinkers, and then we'll go into, what stands out. Maybe and this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back and look at what are some of the conversations, the topics that stand out to us the most, the debates. What are some of the debates that stand out to us the most? This is what we're going to talk about next week. Since we're on our 7th year, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to take a little trip down memory lane and think about some of our favorite. I'm thinking about stuff right now. That's the funny thing. We're going to have we had a lot of moments. Some more recent, some further back, but yeah. Nikki, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about some of those moments, and then if we have time, then we're gonna talk about some ideas that we have moving forward, because we got quite a few ideas of things that we want to do as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back, because and the good thing about what I do is, before I do any type of a group or show, even back then, I do a certain level of preparation. I always have questions written out. I have, how I want to direct the conversation, whether it goes there or not. I always prepare that, even like today, if I'm the only one on here, I make sure I give myself enough material that I can run a whole show by myself. I can teach people how to do that. I tell people oftentimes there's certain outlines that I've created where I can show you how to do a podcast. I can show you how to moderate a podcast. And I can show you how to run a group. There's different tactics and different things that I do. And, somebody asked me, how do you, especially like when we would have a large group of adult people who have their own mind, thought, and they can do whatever they want to. They're like, how do you control all of these people with all of these opinions? And I broke it down to them, like, let me show you some of the tips of how we do that. But it all starts with trust before anything, because they don't trust you, then you can't tell any grown person what or what not to do. So we're gonna talk about some of that. I'm about to go back. Anyway, I was saying I'm glad, because when I write stuff down, I can always look back and see the different topics that we have, and I can go back and look at notes, and even stuff that we don't have recorded. I got it recorded, scribed, scribed from my notes, and it brings it back to my memory. So we're gonna talk about that next week. So I look forward to that. And if anybody listening right now, if you have ever participated in the show online or in person, I want you to think about what are some of your favorite Freethinker episodes, Freethinker debates that you're a part of, moments. Outside of that, we had some moments as well. So just think about that, so we have a conversation next week, and that's gonna be cool. I'm a nostalgic person. I like to reminisce certain aspects, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. As long as you survive it and you pass it and you move forward, then it can all be beautiful if you look at it through the right lens of eyes, the right lens. Okay. All right. So outside of that, thank everyone for tuning in. If you have any topic ideas coming up into this year, make sure you let us know. Always check out the page. Give us input. That's one of the things I want to talk about as far as what we're going forward. Just kind of some assessments as well. Whatever you think is interesting, send it to the page. Whatever's thought provoking, whatever you got questions about. I don't want us to start funneling just in one direction. I notice we often get a lot of relationship topics and there's certain things we get a lot of and less of than others. But I want Freethinkers to be open to everything. So we don't want to get pigeonholed. That's just my thought. But outside of that, I think I didn't get it all out, but everything that I'm going to talk about today, I'm done with that. Until next week, have a good week.